You know, it is a shame in this day and age that you have to force people into an undisputed fight. You would think that this is something that all people would want and boxing fans would want, and this is something that champions or wannabe champions would go for. Yet when it comes to George Kambosos, he has seemingly tried everything but to fight Devin Haney. Now, if you watch my last video on George Kambosos, you can hear the recording of him saying, and his exact words verbatim was, I want to handle this undisputed business, because they're saying that everybody's running from Devin Haney and they think everybody is afraid of him. I'm afraid of no one. So yeah, I want to go directly for Devin Haney. Only to tell Devin Haney he needs to sell his chain. He needs to be entertaining. He needs to be able to go to Australia. He needs to be able to do all these things. If Kambosos was really about settling the undisputed, none of that stuff would matter at all. At all. But it just seems to be, just like Lomachenko, just like Devin Haney, and just like Kambosos, nobody wants to fight Devin Haney. And I think it's funny because it seems like now he's trying to scare Devin Haney with flight time, because the flight to Australia is something like 19 hours and 30 minutes or some stuff like that. Before then, he was telling Devin Haney, oh yeah, you need to watch out for the 80,000. You know what I'm saying? That crowd, it gets a little crazy, Devin Haney turned and looked at him and said, the crowds don't win fights, I do. So whether Kambosos is trying to scare him with the crowd or trying to scare him with flight time, those are two pathetic things to throw at him. Just go ahead, just fight the man at the end of the day. But see, people don't want to give Devin Haney a shot. Everybody want to complain about he hasn't done anything and complain about his resume, but you won't know what he is until you put him in there with somebody that you view as a high caliber or a good fighter, okay? You can't say that somebody's not something and you're not giving them the opportunity to prove themselves. If I'm the best pole vaulter or whatever in the world, the only way you're going to know is to put me in with the best and see what I can do. You see, nobody wants to give Devin Haney that opportunity because they know the outcome. And in today's boxing world, well, how about this? Just look at this comment right here, and this should say it all. So the MBF is not a myth. It's been confirmed. It's real. Okay? You don't know what MBF is? Stands for No Black Fighters. I believe that's coined by my boy Southpaw. Okay? That's where fighters will do anything but fight undefeated black fighters or want to give them a shot. Okay? Now, this is just the typical hating ass Mexican boxing fan. If you don't know, the Mexican boxing fan base despises black fighters. It has nothing to do with their resume. It has nothing to do with what they think they have done or they haven't done. They simply don't like them because of their color. And this is in their culture. So it's not something that's just in boxing. Latin culture is a very racist culture in general. They're racist against each other. But when it comes to black fighters, they have this special disdain, which is why black and brown has always made good money together, because the boxing industry depends on the bigotry and the racism of Latino/Mexican fans. Now, don't have me just single out just Mexican fans. It's a lot of people that think like this fool is thinking right here, and they're not Mexican. So when it comes to Devin Haney, this is what the real issue is. Why I can speak on this, because I'm not a Devin Haney fan, but you don't see me not wanting him to get a shot or not wanting this or not wanting that. I mean, I really don't care. The only thing I care about is seeing undisputed. I don't care who has the other belt. You know what I'm saying? It could be Devin Haney, it could be this guy, that guy. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to see something undisputed. And you would think that most people would want to see that too. But it's just not that's just not the flavor of the day. You know what I'm saying? They really don't want no more black champions. There's a lot of anti-blackness going on in boxing. Shakur Stevenson told you about it. You know, but people want to brush that off and act like it's not real, and racism in boxing is not real. Yet every time I'll get a chance to talk about boxing, people bring race up to me. Personally, they'll bring up my race as if that has some kind of effect on what I think and say. They say that because it has an effect on what they think and say. That's why I said 9 times out of 10, you're not talking to a boxing fan. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people just use boxing to be racist at the end of the day. There's no reason why anybody should be against an undisputed fight. Fighting Lomachenko is not going to get you there. The only thing we're going to do is do a 360, put us right back in the same position. You still got Devin Haney. Now, if you watch my last video on Kambosos, I already proved that Devin Haney still is the WBC lightweight champion, according to the WBC website, according to Boxing Rec, and several other sources. Okay, so it's something that needs to be handled because you can't be undisputed if somebody's out here disputing it. Everybody knows that. But everybody's so against this kid getting a shot, talk about he's born, he's this, he got wobbled by Linares. And the funny part is, Devin Haney got wobbled by Linares, but Lomachenko got dropped by Linares. So everybody wants to put this clip up of Devin Haney getting wobbled by Linares up on Twitter and stuff like that and act like that's some kind of proof. Totally ignoring the fact that Lomachenko got dropped by Linares, but don't nobody want to say nothing about that. So if Lomachenko could get dropped by Linares, then I think most definitely it's okay for Devin Haney to at least get wobbled by Linares, especially since y'all put Lomachenko up there so high. But at the end of the day, it just comes to people don't want to give him a shot. It's not that they think that he's boring. It's not that they think that he's this. It's not that they think that he's that. They just simply don't want him to get a shot because they know the outcome. The same thing with George Kambosos. The guy knows the outcome at the end of the day. But he talked all this big crap like he was going to do this and he was going to do that. The only thing people did was believe what you say and hold you to your word. Now, if you do that, you got so many people talk about leave George Kambosos alone, leave this person alone. One glaring thing that I noticed in talking about boxing, especially on YouTube, is how fighters that are outside of the color of black get all the benefit of the doubt in the world. It's leave them alone, let them go do this, let them go do that. They don't need to fight nobody, blase, split, this, that, and the third. Soon as we get to talk about these black fighters over here, oh, they need to do this. They need to go fight that person. They need to go fight this person. They need to go fight that person, which most of the time I'll agree. But that's the only time the majority of people agree with me. It's when I turn this same mind that's judging these fighters and what they do. And when I talk about black fighters, I get no problems. I get no blowbacks. I don't get called a hater. I don't get called anything. Everybody sees my point. They understand. And you know what I'm saying? I'm right up to par with what I'm saying. I take that same energy and put it on a different fighter or a white fighter or a Mexican fighter. Here come the excuses. They don't got to do this. Oh, leave them alone. This person hasn't fought anybody. This person hasn't. This is undisputed at the end of the day. Do you want an undisputed lightweight champion or not? Do you just want fighters to parade like they're the man or not? And as far as being the man, then you know the rule of boxing. Okay, you can't call yourself a champion until you defend those belts. So people can say whatever they want about George Kambosos, but he's not going to be shit until he does a title defense. It's an unwritten rule in boxing. Everybody knows that. Okay, so that's why people like Andy Ruiz and Teofimo Lopez are not real champions. The second that they had a chance to defend their belt, they lost it. And the reason why that rule is to prove that it's not a fluke. Because anybody can have a bad night. That's why they say that. But trying to intimidate Devin Haney by flight time and by, oh, the crowd is going to be screaming and stuff like that. Man, Devin Haney ain't got to worry about that because over here in America, the crowd be against the black fighters any damn way. They used to that shit. So what are you talking about? And then he talking about flight time. Come on, man. You just don't want to fight the man at the end of the day. And that's just like Devin Haney said. You had to be You had to be pushed in this position to fight him. And then again, there's still no guarantees, because ain't nothing guaranteed till something is signed on the dotted line. And even when it's signed on the dotted line, 9 times out of 10, Kambosos is going to catch an injury, because he don't want this fight. 2 fights that the boxing world didn't want. Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez, and Devin Haney versus George Kambosos. Just like they didn't want to see Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez. Just like they didn't want to see Devin Haney and Vasily Lomachenko. At this point, the kid has earned the right to challenge the best, regardless of what you say, because the best keep avoiding him at the end of the day. But when it's all said and done, that's the true problem with boxing. But that's my thoughts on this little twerk. I'm out.